Good evening and welcome to Flying Solo. Most of you might know I'm Andy and this is a new channel. So we're going to start off by bringing on Mr. Shunter. And here he is. Sorry, I see him laughing. Here he is, the man himself. Boom.
Hello.
So say hello
review.
to the real UMBRA man.
Yep. So it's a bit like finding out Timmy Mallet or David Brent is Batman. Soz.
I thought you was going to say your dad or something.
No.
Would that be worse?
Who knows? I guess it would depend on the person.
Yeah, I suppose. But anyway. So this is the real UMBRA, Mr. Stuart Hunter. So that's why it said in the trailer, Mr. Shunter, S. Hunter. Ta-da. And from Cryptids to Cryptics. So, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself? And then we'll get into it proper?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, as many of you know, I've been interested in this for like paranormal stuff for quite a long time. I know this isn't really a paranormal show, but primarily, like, I guess...
Originally.
Youth work, the paranormal, and filmmaking is like my three main interests in life. So I think I've probably been affected more by the paranormal to one degree or another. Hence, turning up here week in, week out and just typing nonsense in the chat.
Nothing wrong with that. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's it in a nutshell. It's just, like I said, a deep-seated curiosity for everything, really. That's just a hoover of information.
Yes. So, I asked Stuart to come on here and he said, yeah. One of the reasons, because he came on the 12th dimension incognito. So all you could see was like that. That was it. But
it's more than I could see.
I was going to say we've probably seen more than you could. But it's just good to get you on, have a chat with you and have a bit of a laugh about stuff. So we are trying to avoid the paranormal as much as possible. No doubt it will hit it now and again. But so if you have any questions, please feel free to put them on. Start them with an emoji because they do go missing if you don't. They go missing if you do as well. So yeah. But so right, nickname saying Talk Films.
Talk films? What, like favourite films or
black and white silent movies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, silent movies, you say that, but that's like George Méliès is a big kind of inspiration for me because he invented, in my opinion, like special effects. Many special effects that you have now. So, like, silent movies are, whenever people talk about silent movies or black and white movies, like particularly, I've got younger siblings, and it's like, oh, watch this. And the first question is it black and white? Oh, yeah, not interested.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I like all kinds of movies, My favorite's probably The Shining, because it kind of combines everything I like. There's, extra potential hidden meanings and stuff, depending on how you watch it. So yeah, I mean, I'll talk movies all day, but eventually someone's eyes will start glassing over. It's like, okay, it's time to kind of change the subject.
Probably mine. No, I'm only
yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I've never watched The Shining.
You should. It's a fantastic film.
But I like watching. I do like horror movies. They're my favourite, horror and comedy. But I do like watching horror movies on my own at night, lights off, because I like that suspense and the feel of fear.
So do I, which is why I watch The 12th Dimension.
Hey, yeah. Well, yeah, well, with some of the people in the chat, yeah, it is scary.
I can't see the chat, by the way, if anyone's like
not?
messaging me directly. No.
Oh.
So I don't really know what the hell anyone's saying.
Oh, right. Nothing really. They're all saying hi to Rick Allen.
Oh, there we go. Hang on. Yeah, I can now on comments. Yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
No, you're all right. If I was going to say, I don't know if you know, if there's anything you need to say to me that you don't want to put out, you've got the private chat icon.
Yeah,
so you can go in there and just message me. Excuse
that's
me.
Cool.
Yeah, Joe, you have to have subscribed for at least 5 minutes before you can get in the chat. That's one way of getting them in,
isn't
it? Yeah, I've not. The only thing I've not got the padlock to keep them. That's the downside to it. So a horror movie? So Mike's got a horror movie to me has to have an element of supernatural. Slasher movies are just thrillers.
It's a fair comment. I don't agree necessarily, no, because some of the, in my opinion, some of the most terrible, horrifying things are internal problems. Yeah. So because it's like, I used to know a guy in forums I can't mention on here. Yeah. And he was a doctor. And he always used to say the thing that he's most afraid of is his own mind, because he has no idea what it's really doing. And it can turn on you at any minute, which that's very dark. Do you know what I mean? It can make you do things that you have no control over at all. It's not supernatural. And no one's getting murdered particularly. But if you've lost touch with reality completely, that can be quite dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I don't agree, but I can understand the point.
Yeah. So are there any movies that are that scary, that mess with your head that much that you can't watch anymore?
Not for me personally, no, because I've got a sick sense of humor. Do you know what I mean? Everything to me just becomes
I didn't know you was going to say that.
Yeah. So, oh God, this bloody thing, it's on auto track. I can't turn it off. So for me, no, because like it doesn't really matter how dark it is. And I think because I make films as well, that takes away some of the fear, because it's just like you're looking at the practical effects, or is it a special effect, or so you're watching it with different eyes, or is there another layer, or are they using color, or like a camera angle to try and convey something else. So if you love films, don't make them, because you'll never watch them the same ever again.
Yeah, but it's a bit like, I said we will dip in and out, but it's like when I go investigating in cemeteries and what have you, like 2 o'clock in the morning. To me, you can't get any more real movie making to paranormal than something like that.
Yeah.
But then when you go and watch something, there's like 20, 30 people stood about with all different machineries or like devices and that to make. So you see what you see on the screen, that's what they make. I know some of it's CGI and green screen and that, but you're still like 10, 20, 30 people, where I go in a cemetery and it's just usually me and Ellie. So that does creep you out. But then when I get back and I watch what's called a scary movie, it's not really that scary anymore.
No, I think for you, when you've seen some of the things that you have seen, what can match that? It changes your perspective a lot.
Yeah. Well,
for me, everything becomes like almost an ironic comedy in a lot of ways, and like the more frightening it's supposed to be, the less it often is. Usually, it's not. It's the soundtrack that's usually the most frightening. That it's kind of tuning you in with. There's like a fear frequency. I forget exactly what it is.
440 it is.
Yeah, it might be.
I'm sure it is.
Right. I mean, 440 is also something else.
Yes. Sure, it's 440.
Yeah,
So I've got a frequency thing on my phone, and I went on Google and had a look. I might be wrong, but it's around 4 something anyway.
I think. Well, I think the one I'm talking about, it's like a very low frequency. You can't even hear it.
You can't hear it.
Yeah. But they put that in certain films because it kind of instills dread.
Yeah.
It's very sly.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, for me, like, there are no films that I would think, oh, that's so terrifying. But there are certain soundtracks that get your blood going a little bit.
Yeah. But it's like, when I was younger, I used to watch, like, when I was growing up, I mean, as a toddler, I'd watch zombie movies and all stuff like that. It did scare me a little bit, but not to the point of I'd be shaking or anything like that. I love being scared. A lot is just put, it's 19 hertz. I don't know where I got the 400 from.
Yeah.
But so I know that 19 hertz, that's what they use in a lot of the paranormal TV shows as well.
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures and what have you. I forgot what I was saying. Come.
Old age, mate.
It is. Don't even joke. But so watching movies, when I did get scared, I'd turn the volume off. And then you sit and it becomes not scary then, regardless of what's going on the screen.
Well, just to go, like, to kind of prove the point a little bit, for anything that you feel is scary, if you just put the Benny Hill theme tune over anything, it immediately isn't. And I think I've just got that, like, playing at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Or
just
Thomas the Tank Engine or a kids' TV show. Yeah, I think it does work. But 13 Ghosts is one of the only movies that I can't watch. The video quality now, it has aged quite a bit. It's not like a lot of movies that were made then are still quite good, but this one's gone a little bit down. Now, if you watch Evil Dead now, where the special effects are made out of plasticine, stuff like that, it doesn't have the same effect as what it did back in the day when it was first made. But 13
I remember
Ghosts.
watching. Sorry, go on.
Oh, that's right. I was just going to say 13 Ghosts and the original The Omen.
Yeah, I mean, The Omen is creepy. Like, my brother, this is a man who's like fought the Taliban. He's been stationed in Nigeria and seen like serious war crimes. But if you put a film like The Ring or any creepy like girl in a frock with black eyes, he's out. That is it. That and spiders, and he will not come out of the closet.
Not having it.
No chance. But yeah, Evil Dead, actually, I know that's been mentioned by yourself and a couple of people in chat. I mean, I remember watching that as a kid, younger than I should have been, very liberal parents. But yeah, I mean, I remember when my sister, we watched that together, and I mean, she was like, I forget now, but very, very young, like primary school, and like terrified. And I'm just like, if you look at half of the special effects, like you say, it's plasticine or mashed potato with food colouring. Yeah. And then that kind of broke the spell for her a little bit, So
and the fact it got banned for years.
Yeah.
And I think this is how old I am, the week that it got re-released onto VHS, I went to HMV and bought it. I was so disappointed when I watched it, though. It was good up until right at the end when they're in the cabin. And then it's just, really?
Yeah, but I mean, you have to think of like things like The Evil Dead. They're not iconic for like the special effects.
No.
It's for what they achieved with so little.
Oh yeah,
And so you've got to give it credit where credit's due. No, it won't stand up now. But what they achieved,
it's an iconic movie. It's a classic. It always will be. But it's just, I think I was expecting more than what I got. I think it's more that than anything.
I just saw in the chat there, Warren Hardcastle, the Descent. The Descent, the film is all right. but that's based on a book which is significantly better. I forget who's the author now, but if you read the book, The Descent, I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it in the comments or something. That is so much better. It's like leaps and bounds more in depth.
Now, any more questions before we move on?
Spice Girls is the most terrific movie I've seen. Now I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you know what? I've not watched that either. I've seen bits of it, and this is a story that I'm sticking to.
Yeah, you've seen bits of it. Is that because it's rewind, pause?
Don't tell anyone. No, it's just when it's on in the background. I think they used to put it on at Christmas, didn't they? For a few, like in the early 2000s, and it was just one of them. You put the TV on, you're watching something, then something else comes on. It was one of them. But while we're talking about TV stuff and that, have you watched White Noise on Netflix?
Oh yes, I have.
What did you think of it?
Right, so from a cinematography point of view, it was interesting. The end, because it kind of doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. It just ambles along.
It just stays.
Yeah. It's a little bit like early 2000s to mid 2000s, like mumblecore films where it wasn't really about much.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
Mm-hmm.
I might get the title wrong, but it's the one with Nicolas Cage. Was it Raising Arizona?
Yes.
It reminded me a bit of that.
Raising Arizona is a miles better film than that.
Oh yeah, but I think the way that they was trying to film it and do the storyline, it was kind of like, because it was a bit. I don't want to ruin it for those who haven't seen it, but when he's chatting with his wife, it was just the conversations didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And I think it was more that aspect to it than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think you're always waiting for something to happen in that White Noise, and nothing really did it?
No, it didn't. But like Noah Baumbach, he's like friends with Wes Anderson, and so like they kind of, I think because of kind of their upbringing in the kind of social class that comes through, where I think they must just go through lots of kind of mundane conversation about nothing, because like a lot of Wes Anderson's dialogue, it's interesting to listen to from like a social class thing, but when I'm watching a Wes Anderson film, it looks great, it's funny usually, but a lot of the dialogue is so artificial and it's like stilted. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think that might just be kind of their social circle influence.
Yeah, I think I kind of got the impression he's trying to make it into some sort of cult movie. Just by the way it was directed.
It's not the cult movie I would make.
No. Blue Shift Spot, and this has got to be one of my favourite movies, American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm.
I must have seen it 1,000 times, and I never get bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit there and recite it from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
But the dream. So I was just going to say, when he's in the hospital bed and he thinks he wakes up and the nurse opens the curtains and the Nazi zombies jump in, and then he wakes up again, he's in the house and the other way around or whatever it is. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an excellent film in every possible way.
Is it 19? I've actually got a copy of it up there. Is it 1981? Either 1978 or 1981 it was made. I think it's 1981.
Oh, did you know? Sorry, just to quickly interject, that they asked Cat Stevens if they could use his song. Which one is it? It's
Bad Moon.
Bad Moon, right? Yeah.
Love that tune.
Yeah, it's like, can we use that? And he's like, no, because werewolves will come and kill me. So he just wouldn't apparently, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that was like one of the reasons cited. It was just like, nope, you can't have that. So it's interesting. It's like, well, does he know something? Does he not? I don't know. But it'd be interesting to speak to him about it.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't, though. Not for that.
Yeah. But even that, even like going back to my comment on Evil Dead with the plasticine and that, when he meets his mate, when he's in the cinema and the other people are sat there that he's killed, and I go, hiya, hello, and all that, and half his face is hanging off.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, that looks pretty, even that watching it now, still looks pretty real.
Yeah.
That's what I'd expect someone to look like that's just been half eaten on the moors. So it's for what they had at the time, because it wasn't a big budget movie, was it?
Not massive, no. I'd say the Slaughtered Lamb, that was just someone's house that they converted into a pub. It's brilliant.
And the rest of it was filmed outside, and then the majority of it was out and about around London. So we have a question from Space Cadet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it up, and this is what she wants to know.
Right.
What is UMBRA Man's opinion on Stanley Kubrick films, also the moon landing footage?
Right. So Stanley Kubrick films are technically excellent, but not the audio isn't always as good as I would like it to be. So like 2001 Space Odyssey, it looks amazing. It's so well designed. Obviously, that's the film that set off the rumors of did he film the moon landings because it was so realistic. So technically, his films are astonishingly good. And I love his films. As a person, I don't like him at all. Particularly, I mean, he's just like an absolute charlatan in a lot of ways, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But the moon landing footage. So here's the thing: do I think we went to the moon? Yes. Do I think he filmed a staged moon landing? Also, yes. I do think that. The reasons being, like there are many reasons. I'll give you some being the what do you call it? The last scene on in The Shining, where it's like all play and all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And if you look at it, it looks like it's more like A11, like Apollo 11. Then there's the Apollo 11.
Right. Yeah.
So there seems to be lots of little clues and allusions to he probably did film a version of the moon landings. And let's not forget at the time, like the big race between America and Russia. I mean, they had all sorts of weird plans of we're going to like drop bombs on the moon just to show that we have, technical superiority. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they did get Stanley Kubrick, who had filmed 2001 Space Odyssey, probably one of the most realistic space films of its time, and a technical genius to film it. Plus, I think there's like bits of footage as well where they've kind of like enhanced the image, and at the back you can kind of see the rear projection style that 2001 Space Odyssey used, but you can see some of the metal framework behind it. Again, I haven't had access to any of that footage, so I'll just have to take their word for that. But I genuinely do think that he did film a version of a moon landing. And whether that is footage that they have used in the past to kind of make us believe that we've been there or not, or intercut it with other footage, I don't know. But I still think we probably have been, only because, like, my reason is if you believe in GPS, which getting something into orbit, that's the hard bit done.
Yeah.
So, if we can get stuff into orbit, we can probably do that.
Yeah.
If we
can,
sorry.
I'm with you on that. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I thought you'd finished. I was just going to say, I'm with you on that. I think we have been to the moon. I don't think we went when they said Well, America's been to the moon. I don't think that they were there when they said they were there, and I don't think they went the way they did go. Still believe they didn't use a rocket, so to speak. They used some sort of Stargate, a teleport system. I think it's more that than traveling. Is it 3.5 days or something it takes to get there?
I honestly don't know exactly. But for me, like, I don't know the specifics of, because I'm not, I'm not a rocket scientist, literally.
No. You told me you was.
Yeah, not that kind of rocket.
Hey.
So, so yeah, I mean, I think there's so many lies that we get told by industry, by government. It's kind of like the Aldous Huxley problem of where they aren't going to kind of brainwash us with, like propaganda. All they're going to do is just flood like the internet with like so much information, some of it true, some of it not. It makes it impossible.
Mix it up.
And so convoluted. So you can't piece it together and be like, oh, well, there's the truth.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
There's little bits of truth and then a lot of made up stuff, I suppose. Yep. Right. Next question is there we go. Straight onto the paranormal. What is the best cryptid movie from Rick?
Oh, that's a real. I'm going to be biased because, again, I forget who mentioned in the chat. I love Dog Soldiers because it's
that was Warren.
funny. Yeah, it might have been actually because it's funny. It might be, perfectly feasible that, the British Army or any army is messing around with cryptid technology. I can't say they are or they aren't, by the way. So that's why I'm always very cagey about committing one way or the other because I have no direct evidence.
Yeah.
So for me, the best cryptid movie is probably Dog Soldiers because as well, it's got a couple of Geordies in it and some of the lines in that are beautiful. I love it. It's great fun. But there's elements in there that you think, okay, I see what you kind of insinuate in there as well, So for me, that's one of the best.
Yeah, I like the way when the guy gets ripped open and they're trying to super glue him back together. Well, put his intestines back in. But that's what super glue was invented for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I've just seen another question there from Rick. Do I think governments fund movies in order to spread disinformation? Now, again, I can't personally prove it, but I think there is so much evidence that they definitely do. I mean, like the CIA have famously been involved in like some video game development and all the rest of it. They know, that kind of audio-visual stimulus.
What was that game? There was a game in the 80s.
So Polybius it's still technically an urban legend.
But you can get it.
Well, you can now.
You can buy the machine, the original machine, like where you played Pac-Man in the arcades and that.
I suspect you probably can't.
You can get it in one of them machines.
Right. If you could, then you've brainwashed yourself. So why on earth would you do that? So I think you probably can't. You could probably get a pretty good replica of it.
Yeah.
But
I know it got re-released. It got released, didn't it?
Apparently.
But then is that the Mandela effect?
So to answer Rick's question, I personally believe it's a virtual nailed-on certainty in the same way that I think every government has its own propaganda department. I know like a director that I like, Peter Greenaway, used to work for one. One of the British ones. So yes, they almost certainly do. How successful it is and to what level, I have no idea. But yes, I think they do.
Right, thank you. We have another question from Nickname. Oh wait, here we go. It's question statement. What do you think of the War of the Worlds soundtrack? Ain't that creepy, and it, Umbra? Do you like the movie? No, are we talking the original or the remake? Oh, sorry.
I mean, from my point of view, if you mean the War of the Worlds soundtrack, I forget what was the name of the guy.
Jeff Wayne.
Jeff Wayne, yeah. If you mean that, it is creepy, but it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. If you mean like the original War of the Worlds with the little triangular vehicles and that little meet sound, I think that's fantastic. It's better. That one to me is more creepy and frightening than the remake. Because it has like a more otherworldliness about it, which I think a lot of films of that era did, that we don't, because we're always trying to like inject realism, so everything is lit to be as real as possible, which for me that's fine. But I like my films to have an extra element outside of realism, because if I want realism, I can just live.
Well, yeah, just
you know
go
what I
about
mean?
doing your
Realism
day-to-day stuff.
now. So I like my film stylized.
Yeah, when they played Jeff Wayne the soundtrack, didn't they, on the radio, and people actually thought the Earth was being attacked.
Yeah, wasn't that
was it in the 50s?
Orson Welles who did that though?
Orson Welles, yes.
Yeah, another great filmmaker, brilliant in every way.
Well, because David Essex he was in the original, wasn't he? He and he did some of the music for it as well, the singing. What was his? I'm trying to think what character he played.
I can't remember now.
The something man. It's a military name for some, and that's who he played.
I can't remember. My favorite David Essex films is Silver Dream Racer. If you've never seen that, it's as cheesy as you like now. It hasn't aged well, but it's fun.
But
I think that's what got me to motorbikes, which I have one of the prophetic dreams I mentioned. That was linked to motorbikes, and I think Silver Dream Racer was probably the film that first got me as a kid, like in love with motorbikes. Just a bit of random trivia.
That's fine. Right, we've got another question from Rick. He would like to know what films. Well, would films be your choice to write? What would films be your choice to write for, and what would be the subject? What would the subject matter be? So, if you had to write for a movie, what would it? What subject would you do?
Well, for me, I have again loads of interests, but would I write films specifically? I'm currently trying to write like a TV series that's the Giants one that I keep banging on about in chat every now and again. And that's kind of like what is it, Cryptids? No, it's not really. It's kind of have you know about a group called Megalithomania? If you don't, they did a book a while ago on like giants around the world, like the Smithsonian conspiracy of hiding or destroying the bones of giants in Sardinia and places like that. I don't know if it's true or if it's not, but there are local records of giants in the northeast. 3 in particular: Core, Ben, and Con, and that's where Corbridge, Benfield Side, and Concert kind of are linked to. And there's a document which I found a few years ago now that kind of details that the River Core had its banks washed away, and they found a skeleton, allegedly 21 feet long, but a bunch of lads found it, and like as lads do, started smashing it up because they didn't really know what it was until other people came and found like 3-inch long seemingly human teeth. It's all written down and documented.
I've not heard any of that.
No, well, I've got a whole bunch of research I can bore you to death with. I'll shoot it over to you. But part of the reason that I started to research that is because one of the pubs that was supposedly a place where the rib of the giant core was suspended in the kitchen is where the Newcastle Film Club meet. And like we had to do like a film idea. And so I just did a bit of research and that popped up and I was like, oh yeah, that's good. So not to bore everyone to death,
too late.
TV shows and films, primarily on high strangeness, conspiracy. What I do? Well, I'm currently working with a friend of mine to do like a local folk horror, just a short. So, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I like. I like cryptid stuff, but even folklore, because in folklore there's like, you know, allusions to other truths, or bits of information or names that mean things. So yeah, that's, you know, I've loads of stuff that I would like to make. It's just finding the time, or sometimes it's difficult to get the people together who you'd want to work with in order to flesh that out.
Yeah, getting everyone available.
Yeah.
Same time,
so,
and
then it's on top of that, if you're going to have to finance it, often as like a lot of the films that we finance are self-financed, which is quite punishing sometimes. So these are all limitations to kind of fight through.
Yeah, thank you. Right, we have got a few more questions. I'm going to go to the last one first. Rick Allen wants to know, are you dyslexic?
Not as far as I'm aware, but my spelling's atrocious. So, you know, if someone said I was, I couldn't really fight them over it.
Fair enough. Next one is from Rick again. Does Stuart have a theory on the origins of giants?
I don't have. I'm going to be really like boring and evasive here. I don't have definite set theories on anything. I only have approximations and speculation, because it's too difficult to nail down exactly what the truth is, because often you'll go down a path and then you'll have two contradictory things that both could be true, and it becomes convoluted. So I can't really give a sensible answer to that. I mean, again, is it biblical? I don't know. Is it Anunnaki, DNA, genetics? Like, I don't know. Because not only that, if you believe people like Michael Cremo, that we've been here, you know, 3 or 4 times round, and there's evidence of, you know, 300 million year old hammers and wheels and footprints and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
it's incredibly difficult to kind of piece it all together, because I really don't know where to begin with it all. If Michael Cremo's right, then where is the original evidence? Do you know what I mean? So there isn't like an original kernel to go, that's definitely the origin point. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. No, thank you. Right, I'm going to do one more question, then have a break. Is that all right?
There we go. Nickname. Definite yeah. I mean, I wouldn't care. I've hardly ever even had cheesy peas. That was totally Space Cadet Lottie, and I just thought it just tickled me a bit. So, yeah, always yes, because I don't want Space Cadet Lottie to track me down and, you know, torture me over it.
Too late. They know who you are now.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, the worst reveal ever. That's it.
Yeah. Right, I'll do one more quick question, then we'll go for a break, yeah?
Right, you are.
So, yeah, we'll do this one. From Lottie. What are UMBRA's thoughts on the classical legendary program Geordie Racer?
Right. I'm probably going to disgust you right now and say I have not seen that. I don't know anything about it. So I am
two of us.
probably
I was hoping you could
the worst
enlighten.
northern man in history, and I dread to think what cheesy pea torture awaits me for not knowing. I can only apologise.
Well, hopefully someone in the chat will know, i.e. Lottie, and she can let us all know what it's about. I thought it was something like some local legend or something from the sounds of it.
I mean, it does literally say legendary program.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's a TV thing of some sort or radio. I don't know. But either way, I don't know what that is. So I can only apologise, and you can friction burn me or push me over or whatever torturous thing it is.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. Whatever does it for you.
Excellent. Right. So we're going to have a 3-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take us off screen because I can't upload this one like do on the others. Oh, excuse me. And then we'll be back. There is a 10-second countdown at the end. So if you're going to go off and do something,
I'm not. I'm just going to sit here for 3 minutes.
You'll know when to come back. Cool. Right. So we'll see you in 3 minutes. And we are back. Oh, hope you enjoyed that 3-minute break.
It was one of the best 3 minutes of my life.
It's all right then. That's what I want to hear. You know, that took me 10 minutes to make that video.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's 10 minutes that's going to get you, 3 minutes forevermore. So it's probably the best 10 minutes you've ever spent in yours as well.
Yeah, and I was on a break at work while I was doing it. So I was getting paid to do that one.
Result.
Yes. Oh, there's always one, isn't there? Joe, Andy, the rain was better. I've got one with the ripple effect. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought I'd try that one, see what people think. Anyway. Right, so back to the questions. We've got a couple from Stefan Lubicek. He was one of the guests I had on the other channel, the guy from Birmingham. So he wants to know, have you seen the new film Avatar Way of the Water? And do you think CGI is overly used in other films which don't have good acting or even a storyline? Ooh, good question.
It is. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I plan to see it, just because it is a technical. I wouldn't say a masterpiece, but from a filmmaking point of view, to make that film is mind-blowingly difficult. So I can salute that. So I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's any good or not. Do I think CGI is overly used? Most of the time, yes. I think in Avatar, it doesn't quite count because they're trying to push technical boundaries. So that's a different thing. But I think often CGI is used far too much, but it's also budgetary sometimes as well. It's just sometimes quicker and easier and cheaper to do it that way. Because when you're doing things practically, if you've got to blow a car, well, now you need 5 cars. If you're going to do 5 takes, do it with CGI, do it a million times if you want.
Yeah, doesn't matter then, does it?
But it does kind of naturally take a little bit away from practical effects. I generally prefer practical effects.
Yeah.
But my mantra is whatever serves the story wins. So if it has to be practical, fine. If CGI does it better, also fine.
Yeah, cheers. I'm actually going watching that on Tuesday. And do you know where I'm going watching it?
Where?
At the gym. I've joined a gym that has a cinema.
Right. So you're going to be on a treadmill.
No.
Hot dogs and Coca-Cola.
No, I'm going to the gym, but I've booked for me.
Run off 300 calories and smash 3,000 calories.
Me, the missus, and the son. Obviously, I get it free. I've had to pay for them too. I've got first visit to the gym, 3.5 hours of Avatar.
I mean, it's not the worst way to start a gym membership.
Not at least I'm going.
True, I can salute that.
Yeah, so, but I didn't know. How did you? I thought it said it on the thing. I just thought it'd be like a little screen or something where you sat on the. You know, where you do the when you're on the bikes. What's it called?
Oh yeah, spinning.
Spinning. I thought it'd be like a spinning class. You
watch a movie. When did that start getting called spinning? By the way, it's just an exercise break. It's 2 words too much. I don't know.
Yeah. Spinning. Yeah. So I thought it'd be like a spinning class and there's a movie on, but no, it's an actual like 80-seater cinema.
Right. I mean, this does not sound like a gym, Andy. I'm going to the gym, guys. What's your gym? It's an 80-seat cinema. I mean,
it's a true story.
I don't think that you know what the gym is.
I definitely know what a gym is. I've just not been for
I'm going for a walk in this sleeping bag.
The thing is, though, all my Doritos get stuck between my toes.
This isn't the
gym. No.
If it is, I'm joining this gym. Where the hell is it?
Right. So it's in Northampton, obviously. That's where I live. But these 7, it's £20, it's £19.99 a month, right? You get a choice of 7 gyms.
Right.
I think 5 of them have swimming pools.
Yeah.
1 has a cinema. We actually went in. I think it was either Christmas Eve or the day after Boxing Day. I went, I need to go in and have a look because
just to make sure it doesn't have any exercise.
I used to go to a club in Bolton called the Temple, and that had a cinema, right? And it had a swimming pool as well. And I thought people are on too much stuff and they're chatting. Anyway, you go up and there's like 3 rows of 12 seats. Went in one night and was watching 8mm.
This isn't a gym.
No, that was a nightclub.
I mean, don't get all right. Okay, that's a weird nightclub.
Very in Bolton.
What, the Northeast does not have this stuff. If you go to the gym, there's like massive blokes who expect you just to like lift metal constantly and then get out.
Yeah,
there's none of this Doritos or nachos.
Yeah, so I thought, right, we want to go and watch Avatar. I thought I'll go online, do it, see what it's going to cost. So it's not free for me because I've got membership, so I don't have to pay anything. It's like $4.95 for anyone else that head onto it. So, but don't laugh now because I've just remembered I am actually going to the gym tomorrow to do real exercise.
What,
I'm
the Spice Girls movie?
No. Doing aqua aerobics.
All right.
I've never done it before. It's mainly women.
What you smugglers for it, man? Go for it.
Oh no, shorts and a t-shirt. But I just want to see because there's a couple of guys that go, and the missus has been going on about it because she's been going for a few months now. So she keeps saying to me, "Why don't you go?" So the gym that I joined, that's one of the ones that I can use. So, right, do you know what? I'm going to go. I want to find out why blokes don't do aqua aerobics.
Because I suspect you're about to find out very quickly, mate.
Yeah. So when you go abroad, like when you go to Spain and Turkey and that, and they're in the pool, these blokes doing the aqua aerobics then, isn't there?
I've no idea.
Apparently, well, I've seen them, so yeah.
Right, I'll take your word.
Why don't they do it at home in the UK or wherever they're from?
They do now because you're going to go.
Yes.
You're a pioneer.
Might ask some questions. Yeah, put me mankini there. I can wear me mankini tomorrow.
The cogs are turning now, aren't they?
That'll empty the place before they've even got in the pool.
My brother used to wear one of those. All right, bearing in mind, he used to like train people. Was a sergeant in the Army, and he used to have to train people. And when they had to do their computer bit, they used to have a dare. So you had to put a mankini on, and they're all facing forwards. And the bet is you have to get as undressed as you can in a mankini, stand there in just the mankini, and then get dressed again before anyone turns around and asks a question. He never got caught.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. How?
Don't ask me. I wasn't there. And thank God I wasn't.
Yeah, something that you could never remove from your memory.
You can't unsee that. You cannot unsee that.
But yeah. So I said I'd go and do the aqua aerobics just to find out what it's about. I don't think it's going to be a regular thing.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah. I'm not swinging out this week. I'm going to the cinema.
Yeah.
No, but I just said I'll go and see what it's about. I just want to know why blokes don't do it. It's exercise. But I hate swimming. I can swim, but I don't enjoy it.
So you go to aqua aerobics in a gym that's only got cinemas.
Yeah, but no, what I mean is, to me, swimming, you swim to stay alive to stop yourself from drowning. I don't enjoy it. Don't enjoy swimming. I like going out in the sea and swimming about and splashing about there, but in a pool, swimming up and down, it's like I can't think of anything more boring. To be honest with you.
Do I agree with that? No, I don't. I think it's like one of the best low resistance all round exercises you can.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that, but it's just not.
Well, why is that any less boring than walking? I suppose you got the view.
I think with walking, you can stop without drowning.
No one's forcing you to keep doing 50 lengths, mate. It is optional.
Yeah, but what I mean is, if you're swimming,
why did he drown? Well, he just wouldn't.
What I mean, if you're swimming and you're over in the deep end, you can't just think, I'm going to have a rest for 10 minutes.
You can. You absolutely can.
If you
it's
can
your
float,
body. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah, I know what I mean. You can't just stop. I'd rather do 10-mile cycling or something. Like it's just swimming. I've never enjoyed it. Hated it at school. But I think jumping about
Did
in
you
what?
have to do the thing with the rubber brick in your pajamas and all that? We did. We had to do all our swimming badges.
I'll tell you how bad the swimming baths were where we used to go in Manchester. It had a glass roof. It was built in the Victorian era. Swimming got called off more than we went because the wind and rain was smashing the glass. It's like a greenhouse roof over a swimming pool. And obviously it was in the water. So they have to keep draining the water to get all the glass out.
I mean, that's a terrible decision. Why would anyone? An engineer didn't design that. That's just someone who's had a dream.
I think that was someone that had been drinking mild or something for about 10 years solid. But I know what we'll do. We'll build a glass roof over a kid's swimming pool.
Yeah.
Can't get any safer than that.
Mad.
Bearing in mind, it's not there anymore. I don't know why. Don't know why they got rid of it.
Who knew that wasn't going to last?
But it wasn't even that long ago they got rid of it. Probably 15, 20 years, I reckon. So, yeah, very, very strange. Yeah, so that's my thing for tomorrow night.
Well, best of
I'll
luck.
let you know next time I do one of these how it went.
I look forward to that.
If I'm not arrested.
I was just going to say either that or I'll just read it about it in the papers.
Yeah, but she said there's a couple of guys that go, what have you. Yeah, but you said about the brick in your pajamas.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rubber brick. I'm sure it was a proper house brick.
No, it wasn't. I mean, if it was coated in rubber because, I mean, for two reasons. One, I used to be a bricklayer. And two, I did that. Like, I was one of the best, swimmers of that, my school. And that was like, used to get entered for competitions and stuff all the time. Like, oh God, you have to get like a deeper brick. It just, they just kept. I think they're just trying to drown kids. Like, let's see if we can get them to like hold their breath for 3 minutes.
This is Manchester. It probably was a real. It's probably the brick that was thrown to smash the glass that landed in the water.
Yeah, the original brick of Manchester. Yeah. This broke the first shop window.
Yep. And that was it. And that's how it all just fell apart. Oh, yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. What's that? Welfare check on Andy after his gym visit and the other members, to be fair. Yes. Right. So going back to the films and what we was talking about earlier, this is from Space Cadet. Have you read the
Archaic England?
Archaic?
Yeah. Archaic, exactly, as in ancient, of ancient times.
Right.
No, I haven't, but if I ever get chance, I definitely will, because Space Cadet Lottie is absolutely always nailed on for good shows or books or references. So yeah, she has a lot of interesting things to kind of learn about. So if I get a chance, I absolutely will.
Thank you. Next one from Stefan again. The best film today I watched recently was The Predator Prey. What did you think?
Have you seen it? Yeah, I have seen it. Is it the best film I've seen today? Absolutely no, it definitely isn't for me. I enjoyed it.
Would you say it's the best Predator movie?
Well, I mean, I don't know him, but a guy made quite a good like fan fiction tribute film to that. I forget exactly what it was called now, but it was set in medieval times, and that was really good. No one paid him to do it. That was one of the better ones I've seen. I just liked the premise. For me, I still like the original Predator. It's all Arnie and muscles and far too much ridiculousness, but it's good fun. So for me, I think the original Predator is the best. But it's not the best film I've ever seen.
What is the best film you've ever seen? Have you got
The
one?
Shining. Well, I don't really. No, The Shining is my favourite. Is it the best film I've ever seen? Maybe not. So the problem is, if you ask people who make films what is their favourite film, you cannot answer that because there's a whole bunch of different films. I mean, you could argue like George Méliès films. Some of those are like technical wizardry of the time.
Yeah.
And then it gets all very dull and boring. Never ask a film person what their favourite film is because it's like, conversations about Maya Deren and experimentalism. And then you wish you'd never asked and didn't even know that person. So.
No, that's cool. Right, question for you. Have you seen the movie Apartments? Or The Apartment?
Isn't that
Matt Lucas?
Jack Lemmon?
Sorry?
Is that Jack Lemmon?
No, Matt Lucas.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of like an old film. No. I don't think.
I think it's really good. It's one of those, it's so bad, it's so good.
Right.
So he plays an American and they all live in this, there's like 5 or 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a motel apartment block. And stuff just happens and goes out of hand, but it's a really good storyline to it. But whenever there's anything bad going on, he just pictures himself up in the Alps yodeling with his Leyden hose on and all that. But he just walks around in a pair of pants, and that's it. Even when he goes to the shop, he'll just put a jacket on and just pants underneath. But
that sounds like people just dropping their kids off to school down here. Yeah.
Definitely.
With 4 cans in.
Yeah, but it's called The Apartment. It's either The Apartment or The Apartment. The Apartment. I'm sure it's The Apartment. I've seen it a couple of times because I thought I'm going to watch it again just in case I was like,
in case I dreamt it.
Or I wasn't quite with it when I watched it the first time round. But then watched it a second time, it was even better. But that might just
I've not seen it.
It's definitely worth watching. Right. Next question from Rick. Does Stuart have any faith or is he agnostic?
Am I agnostic? I flip-flop on that one. Sometimes I think I might be agnostic because I don't definitely know. But I think I have an internal belief system that there is something, I just don't know what it is or what the mechanism is. At the moment, I kind of think it's some kind of strange conscious infinity soup where it's a bit like everything everywhere all at once or something like that, where we're living one version of an infinite possibility that could repeat indefinitely in some weird conscious fractal. I have no idea. And then sometimes I think, well, am I agnostic? Because if we're immortal and have an immortal soul, none of this really matters. This tiny little slice, it's a drop of nothing. And if we're not immortal, then again, none of this really matters. So you flip-flop between an existential nihilist, an agnostic, and then some kind of bizarre mystic on the sofa meditating, trying to tap into something you have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
So I can't properly answer that one because I don't know, other than I have a deep-seated belief that there's something. I just don't know what the hell it is.
Right. Thank you. Next one is from my cousin Andy, one Mad Bank. Question to both of us: what film has your favourite soundtrack and why? Mine too are Full Metal Jacket and Kevin and Perry
Kevin and
Go.
Perry. To be fair, they have banging tunes.
I knew he was going to say that because we've been out on a night out and we've gone back to his mum and dad's house, and I was staying there because it was nearer to where we'd been out.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up sleeping on his bedroom floor. And he put Kevin and Perry on, and we just stayed up all night watching that.
It's not the worst night.
That was a really good night, from what I remember.
So Full Metal Jacket is also a great soundtrack. I think possibly, I don't know, the best soundtrack. It's difficult to say. I think Trainspotting has got a really good soundtrack.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's
the original. Yeah.
Trainspotting 2. Who the hell cares about that?
I've not even watched it. I can't bring myself to do it.
Honestly. But like the first Trainspotting, I think, I don't know, it's a bit soulful, sometimes it's sorrowful, it's got little bits of everything in there, sometimes it's uplifting. So yeah, for me, probably Trainspotting will be up there.
So what about Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction is also great, but I mean, there's only really one scene when you've got like Little Green Bag that steals it all. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, all of Quentin Tarantino's films are built on Americana, so they all have that like good soundtrack kind of thing. And yes, Pulp Fiction does have a good soundtrack, but it's still all effectively kind of Americana-ish.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, then what about?
Go on.
I was just going to say, what about Human Traffic? Have you seen that? You must have seen that.
Yes, I have. To be fair, I've probably lived part of it.
I think that is a typical Friday night of people I know. Not including myself, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's good, but for me, I don't know, probably still Trainspotting.
Like you said, with Trainspotting and Human Traffic, and that's the sort of music that I listen to. I like the house music, club music, like the club scene and all that kind of stuff. I like other music as well, but like UK houses and like drum and bass are my two go-to. I can go to sleep to it. I can go out dancing.
That's because you're getting old, mate. That's why you're snoozing in the sleep.
I can have it on while I'm driving around all day in the van. It that type of music I can listen to is either background noise or proper blasting in my ears.
Mm-hmm.
So
I tell you, like the flip side to that, one of the films whose soundtrack I can't stand, and a lot of people, particularly filmmakers, like slap you in the face just for saying it, is 2001: A Space Odyssey. A lot of it is just like whistling, screeching, horrible rubbish sound. It's not very good. There are a few bits in it that are impactful, but generally, like if you just listen to just the soundtrack or watch the film, well, you can't watch it if you have the thing off and just listen to it. It sounds rubbish. It's really not great.
Another question for you then. What Woody Allen as an actor or director or producer?
Right. I mean, if we take away all of the controversy around Woody,
forget all that. It's just him as a person and the work. So
if we're looking at purely as a talent, I think probably just director first, then actor. Because Woody Allen mostly plays Woody Allen, a neurotic, small, kind of Jewish guy. And he does it great. Of course he does. But I think as a director, he has a director's eye. He knows what works. He knows he can weave in all of the subtleties and little nuances. So for me, director first, actor second.
Right. No, thank you. Right. Next one. It's quite apt, that question. This is from Rick again. Does Stuart want to go into directing?
Not full time. I think a lot of the creative decisions, director of photography doesn't get half the credit that they should. But I want to be, and this kind of doesn't exist. And if you say this to professionals, they kind of try and make you steer down one path. I want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
By whatever frame that takes. Like some of the best film I've ever seen is a documentary, Samsara and what's the other one, Baraka.
Yeah.
But they're not. Would I want to direct? I'd love to have directed that actually, because it's absolutely mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Just the visuals on it are incredible. Some of them are tragic as well. But I wouldn't want to be always the director. Like the little short film that we just did for like Film Club, I was the producer on that. And I really enjoyed it because you get involved in all of the little elements, you know, you kind of mix with everyone. If you're the editor, sometimes you can be kind of stuck in your own little corner. If you're the director, you've got lots and lots of like trivial stuff to kind of jump through, which you got to do it. If you want to have a good product, you know, you need to know it.
Yeah.
So do I want to go into directing? Yes, I would like to direct some of my own things, not all of them. I don't think I would want to only be or primarily be a director. I think sometimes being a producer or actually an editor has more creative freedom sometimes.
Yeah. Cool. So, dead or alive, who would you like to, if you could choose anyone, would you work with?
Nikola Tesla. He's got nothing to do with film or anything else, but he would invent stuff that would revolutionize whatever you were doing.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we've got this impossible thing that we need to do. Just get me the cleverest man I know. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. He's an engineer. And a lot of people wouldn't necessarily equate an engineer to a filmmaker. But lots of filmmakers need an engineer's mind, and there's none better than him. But if you mean purely artistically, it would have to probably be either Steven Spielberg or Georges Méliès.
Right. Thank you. Any particular reason, Lempsey?
Because Georges Méliès revolutionized. Well, he wasn't just a filmmaker for a start. As a human being, he is incredible in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
So the stuff that you could just learn from him, just generally, would be like mind blowing. But I mean, he didn't start it all, but he was one of the seeds of the industry that other things grew out of. So for that reason, and I think Steven Spielberg, because it's his fault really or thanks to him, that I have a passion for filmmaking, because when I was a kid, saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I was in. I wanted to do two things, either archaeology or make films. And through like ancient archaeology, I still have that deep passion now. And that was it. So he effectively, I don't know if he either enhanced my life or ruined it, but whichever way it went, filmmaking and you know, archaeology and all the rest of it, that did it for me. And then the second one that topped all of that and tied it all together, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those two films are pretty much the blueprint to the most interesting fields to me.
Yeah. No, thank you. Right. So I've got a couple more questions. Just keep coming. Another one from Stefan. Stuart, what do you think about CGI to bring back deceased actors? Just your opinion.
Okay, so I mean, there's been commercials that have had people like Steve McQueen. I know like Bruce Willis has recently sold the rights to him due to his illness as much as anything. So I don't have a problem with it. In generally speaking, you can abuse that privilege. Obviously, you can turn anything to evil. So as long as it's done respectfully, then great. Yeah. But if it isn't, I would have a problem with that.
Right. No, cheers. But it's like in is it Fast and Furious with Paul Walker?
Mm-hmm.
When towards the end of it, after he died, they used his brother, but then they CGI. Well, they layered his face on top of his brother to make it look more like himself.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that, then that's acceptable. So, just going off that, well, kind of sticking to that question, but going off a little bit. Have you seen the ABBA concerts, the tour, where it's pure holograms?
Oh no, I mean I know of it. I haven't seen it. Didn't like Ronnie James Dio have one of those as well?
Don't know.
Which yeah, I think he has. I don't know if he was one of the first ones actually. And so for me, it's kind of slightly different because I mean I know that they can interact with the audience, like, to a certain degree, but that I think that's a little bit more limited and a bit more. I don't know. It has to follow a certain known routine. Whereas if it was just like a CGI actor, say, you brought Steve McQueen back, you can make him do anything.
Oh yeah,
you could do that.
It's animated, isn't it?
Like a holographic band, but it wouldn't be authentic, so no one would pay any attention anymore.
Right.
So they're kind of trapped in that being not a one-trick pony. That would be unkind, but they're very much cemented into they are just ABBA, going through and doing ABBA things. So
you see, you couldn't go anywhere else with it, really.
I don't think so. Not really.
No. Cheers. Next
It's
question.
great technology, though.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of this stuff on YouTube, and it's like it just looks like they're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's mad. It's mind blowing. You won't think it's holograms. So, right, from Space Cadet. Did UMBRA like the old Sinbad movies?
Absolutely. Ray Harryhausen, what a legend. Everything he ever did. I even on Facebook, I kind of follow like the Ray Harryhausen Facebook page. It's just, again, what can you say that hasn't been said 1,000 times before? They are iconic for a reason and changed, both special effects and CGI and all the rest of it for the better. Yeah. They're fantastic.
I had a question then. It's gone.
I can't help you with that, I'm afraid.
No, neither can I. No, nothing. Oh, that was it. Yeah. So going back to the old black and white movies, like with Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, the way that they did their own stunts.
They were incredibly dangerous. Buster Keaton's almost killed himself numerous times.
How many times?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just, you don't get anything like that anymore. You don't get that real.
No. And you never will, because the industry would never allow certainly. No. Well, I mean, they would barely allow stuntmen to do it now. They certainly wouldn't allow. And I know Tom Cruise always tries to kind of push that boundary and be a bit Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
But there's still an enormous amount of precautions and things that were just not there when he started doing them. But another genius.
Yeah, but it's like I watch them quite a lot on like the YouTube channels and that, and it's just it's like with the Harold Lloyd ones when they do the intro and he's hanging from the clock and the arms bent down, and it's like he must be 200-300 foot up. It's just one little slip and he's gone.
Yeah, well, like the famous one with the drain pipe scene and all of that, where he's got a collapsing drain pipe.
Yeah, and it's coming over.
Yeah, he's broke his ankle and smashed pelvises. Well, did he smash a pelvis? No, but he has done other things. But like it just. I mean, you could never get it.
It's something else. It really is.
Oh, it is. Yeah, special.
Yeah. No, I just thought I'd throw that one at you. Right, next one is from Stefan again. Stuart, what camera did you film with when you started making your own films?
I can't remember now, but it was basically like I think the first like film thing I ever used was like a projector that my dad bought.
Yeah.
When I was like very, very small, didn't really know what I was doing. But then for the longest time, I kind of, when I left school, I wanted to go into filmmaking, but that wasn't really an option. So I had to like dip in and out of it.
Yeah.
But not to the, because like when I was a kid, we just didn't come from a wealthy background, no real money.
Yeah.
So it was like just borrowing gear. But I mean, like the first proper camera wasn't actually that long ago. I mean, the Canon 700D was the one that was a good quality for its time. Interchangeable lenses, because I mean, you can use like there's nothing wrong with camcorders, but you are fixed into their lens system because you can't take it off. I mean, you can now, but you couldn't then.
Yeah.
So they were always a little bit limiting. But yeah, I mean, we used to have, I forget exactly which one it was, but like, you know, those little handy cams that you like zero lux, everyone, I want to film in the dark and made it all green. Yeah, all of that nonsense. So stuff like that. But yeah, I think the first serious, like, even like on an amateur level, was probably a Canon 700D because you could do like 99% of the things that you would want to do artistically with that.
Yeah. Another question, going back to the black and white stuff. Have you done, or have you got any plans of doing any movies like using a cinefilm type camera?
Well, I mean, you mean like film, like Kodak film, effectively?
Yeah, like the old style.
Right.
So you hear it going round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently like in the process of going through college to then go to uni to do a film TV degree, which that's what I wanted to do when I left school. Life wouldn't let me at the time. I'm doing it now. So on the uni course, I will get a chance to do that. And you are entered into the Kodak Film Awards.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I will make one. Whether I like it or not, it's kind of, well, no, I could opt out, but I will not opt out. Is it something that I would kind of put on a pedestal? No. Is it something I would want to work with, like as a preference? Not for me. I think digital has reached a point now where you can match it in virtually every way. The only thing that you can't do is have real grain. Now you can emulate grain to make it look like that, but it isn't real grain. So real film is classed as kind of organic because it has certain elements of randomness, and digital is seen as too clean and sterile. For me, I think you can match it so closely now that to argue the difference is almost pointless. And the benefits of digital far outweigh the costs, extra time, the processing of film. But it would be nice to kind of use it occasionally or appropriately. Like, I forget the name of the director now, but he made a couple of films. One's called Bait, and the other one, I think that's MANN, and it's about based in Cornwall, I believe. And he used an old cine camera. It looks great. I love it. But I don't envy him having to use it. Although I probably would like to use a Stanley Kubrick style little Arri cam just once, just to say that I've done it.
No, cheers. Right. Another one from Rick. Has Stuart ever had experiences with the paranormal?
Kind of is the answer. And I know like me and you have spoken about this and touched on it a little bit in the past. So both my parents have been involved with spiritualist church and medium practices, you know, shamanic stuff and all of that kind of thing. So growing up, I've always been around it. I've always seen bits of evidence of it. The only experience that I've had that I would consider directly is prophetic dreams. So when I was, again, at primary school, I had a dream of buying a motorbike, being in a crash on a country lane, someone on the back, and all the injuries that went with it. And basically, the prophetic dream is if you buy a black bike, which I'll be naturally inclined to do, you will not survive that crash. So I never ever bought one, ever, and I still won't. And then in 2010, when I was going to pick my partner up, coming back, on the way there, a strange white bird landed on a signpost. And at the time, I was like, that's weird. It just seemed completely out of place. And it wasn't a barn owl, it wasn't a seagull. It's just like, it's a bird at night, very, like, extremely white, almost unnaturally white.
Yeah.
And nothing I couldn't describe it now any more than it was just an abnormally white bird. And on the way back, that's exactly where I had the crash that I thought that I was going to have as a kid.
Right.
Yeah, and everything happened exactly as in the dream. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing that I have now is, have I created a self-fulfilling prophecy somehow because I've dreamt it for so long, I've subconsciously made it happen?
Yeah.
Or have I somehow dreamed into the future? Or I don't know. I have no idea what that is. But it was a very profound thing I've carried all the way through my life until it happened. And so now, I'm all down my left-hand side. It's all pins and plates and all the rest of it, exactly as dreamed.
Yeah.
And then the other strange one, again, same era, same age as a child, was dreaming of kind of robots under the ground in Egypt near the pyramids. And then probably like 6 or 7 years ago, I kind of came across some documentation. Who was it? It's Iamblichus was one, Masudi was the other, who did all of these writings on ancient robots underground as guardians of some secret knowledge. Now, again, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea if I somehow read it. I don't think I did because I was like 7 or 8, so I wouldn't have read that. But again, it was something like extremely vivid of like, yep, they're definitely there. And I mean, again, I don't know if they are, they aren't. But then those writings exist. And those little things are kind of like, they keep trickle feeding into, like the previous question, am I agnostic? So sometimes, but then sometimes you think, oh, is there something in that? I don't know, because you never get far enough down to dig the truth out. But my parents used to do lots of, like I was saying to you, work with planchettes and all sorts. And as a kid, again, about the same age and same era, I found a massive roll of like just wallpaper, and I unrolled it, and there was a whole bunch of writing, symbols, signs, scrawls, bits of nothing. And so I said to my dad, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And I remember reading this big, in old curly cursive writing, William Dews, Dews. And I was like, it's weird. Why the hell would you write that on wallpaper? And so my dad was like, yeah, well, there was both my parents and another older lady at the time who apparently she was an astoundingly good psychic. And they'd like come up to her and be like, oh, that thing came true. And she'd be like, what thing? Then they'd tell her, like, did I say that? Oh, good. And so they were working with a planchette.
Yeah.
And so they kind of got this William Dews. And my dad, similar to me, he's like, I'm going to need some proof that we aren't just tapping into ourselves or something.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you could do tonight to kind of give us some sort of proof that there might be something else? So just this, they wrote red pencil. He's like, okay, a red pencil. What about a red pencil? Are we going to find a red pencil? Is a red pencil special somehow? And eventually they worked out, you're going to find a red pencil, as in my dad. So he's like,
Right.
okay, well, where the hell's the red pencil? It just kept writing niche. Well, none of those three would kind of naturally use a word niche.
Right.
So they determined that the only place that this could be was like the airing cupboard. So in there, my dad went up, checked all around, came back down. Nope, there's nothing there. And then it insisted there's a red pencil in the niche. So okay, I'll go back up and I'll have a look. So he got down on his hands and knees. He took everything out, and there was a tiny, tiny little piece of corner broken of like plaster, like, you know, Latin plaster. Old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that had broken away. So he put his hand in there, and then in between the Latin plaster on the other side was like a little triangular pencil. Pulled it out, red pencil. And how do you explain that? And so
Manifest.
yeah. So there are little things like that. You think, what's behind that? Because again, I mean, are they just tapping into themselves, tapping into, I don't know, the fabric of the universe? Who the hell knows? I don't. So, but if you're asking, have I seen a ghost or a cryptid? No, but again, I've been to like table tilting with my my mom and her friends, where they've had like a table like spinning around on one leg and then change direction, and I filmed it. But like I was saying to Andy previously, at the time, getting good low light cameras were prohibitively expensive. So all I've got really is just a black blur. You can't tell that that's what happened really. And it would be very difficult, I think, for basically 6 women with one finger just touching the edge of the table, like literally, as it spun that way, and then just change direction. That's very difficult to change momentum like that. And I saw it happen. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It's improbable, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I haven't got any more than that. No, like I say, there's no Mothmen, no Dogmen, nothing else.
You can't have everything, can you?
No, but I keep trying, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Keep looking, see what you can find. Yeah, just hope you find that before they find you.
Well, I don't know if I do hope that, but I do actually. I think curiosity kind of compels me to want to know, regardless of anything else. All I've ever wanted is just what's the truth.
Yeah, like we've been saying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we've got a couple more questions. So can we do quick ones on these? Because I want to jump to one of them, what we was talking about off air, what we've been chatting about the last couple of days. So
No problem.
Right, so I'm going to leave that one till last. So here's one from Lottie again. What does UMBRA think about the Small Town Monsters cryptid documentaries?
I mean, if you just mean in general, it's difficult to know because some of it's subjective. And the problem is that I have with any documentaries, at the end, it's always open-ended. There's nothing concrete, because then we'd have the answer. Do you know what I mean? It would be like, and that's what I want to do. I literally want to document a thing that will give us the answer. I'm not sure that's even possible, but I want to try. So with cryptid documentaries, any documentaries like, a haunted or any hauntings and all the rest of it, they're very ambiguous. There's nothing concrete at the end of them, which frustrates the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, well done for trying, I guess. But I also know for a fact that like a lot of them are embellished on purpose because there isn't anything tangible. So you have to sometimes engineer it or give the impression of, or do you know what I mean? You've got to kind of get some sizzle to sell the sausage. But unfortunately, most of them are no sausage and all sizzle.
Yeah, well, it is sometimes, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's the nature of the beast.
Yep. But like we've been chatting, once we find out, that's it. Like you said,
It's
game
not
over.
there. So a lot is just put as in editing and producing. So as in, do they embellish and kind of create it? I think if that's what you mean, sometimes definitely yes, not always, but I think the nature of it. The problem with documentaries is if you filmed what really happened, no one would care, because you have to give the impression of what you're trying to do. You miss too many bits in documentary and cinema verite, so you kind of need to recreate it or reset things. So it's not always exactly true to life, even though the intention isn't to deceive often, although sometimes it is.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yep. No. Cheers. Right. Next one. So I've just got to work out which ones. Oh. So can you dream of the lottery numbers, pretty please?
If I could, I'd dream them for us all and just start a syndicate.
Yeah. Amazing. How amazing would that be? Just think of the filming you'd be able to do with the equipment you can buy.
It would be bonkers, mate. Absolutely bonkers.
And that would lead us to what we're going to be talking about in a minute. So I'm going to do the last question. So this is again from Lottie. With UMBRA being knowledgeable about filming and equipment, does he have any thoughts on why old school cameras pick up more orbs energies than new tech? Hopefully that makes sense.
I don't know that they necessarily do. I think, so here's the thing, if we go back to like things like the Skoll experiment using film canisters, I think because film is a physical thing and it is an organic thing, it can probably be affected more than just like a cold reading sensor. So it's probably to do with that, if that is in fact the case, because I mean, you know, there are plenty of other cameras and things that have picked up all sorts. How much we get to see, I don't know, but I imagine there's a treasure trove of stuff that's on both old filming equipment and new.
Oh yeah, that never gets aired.
Yeah.
Right. So going to jump to this one from Rick, and this is going to be about what we were chatting about. Have you ever considered doing the found footage such as the Blair Witch Project?
Right. So yes and no. So I mean, that kind of thing is interesting, but I think, like again, Rick mentioned a while ago about filming something, truth seekery thing. That's more what I'm interested in from like that kind of level of paranormal stuff. But it's difficult to do it correctly because unless you can objectively prove an ability, or you can't just make a claim something is real and not back it up. And that's the hard part, is to kind of get that nailed down. It's something I've always struggled to do definitively. So would I make a found footage thing? Yeah, maybe for fun, but I would much rather make, say for the sake of argument, a group of us get together. How are we going to objectively test, I don't know, remote viewing? So I'll set up a remote viewing station, put some symbols there, same time, same place every week, change them up. Someone remote, can you remote view them and see them? No. Or yes. And then if you can, right. So now what? What can we use that for? What can we do with it? Can we use that to learn other things? Not to ramble on, because I know we're kind of, you wanted to keep them short, and I'm not good at short answers.
It's fine. Yeah. So basically, what we was talking about before, well, we've been chatting, was it yesterday and earlier today before we come live, is like what you've just said, doing some sort of, I suppose it's be like an experiment, really, won't it?
It
So
would be.
doing some footage, but proving that it's real. Is that right? You're better at wording it than I am.
Yeah.
So
So
go on. Sorry.
So no, basically it would literally be that. It would effectively be a science-based documentary on the phenomena. That would be an ideal project. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
It
But
would just be a matter of getting the right people, getting the right gear.
Yeah.
Because the other problem, like we've often said before, is sometimes people are too prepared to take too much at face value. And I mean, I've been to some, you know, and not just seances, but like various paranormal things where we've had like, you know, some deep level practices go on, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I can see the face of that statue moving. It's like, do you mean you are perceiving it moving, or it is actually moved? Because if you're saying it's actually moved, I've been watching it, and it definitely hasn't. And like my dad, he's again the same, where he used to do these experiments long before I ever did. And I think I just kind of took the baton on, where he set up an experiment and he drew around a cup. And everyone was like, oh, it definitely moved in the dark under candlelight. And things do sometimes appear to move. Yeah, it's definitely moved. And he's just like, right, well, if I lift this cup up, you will all see it has not moved. And it hadn't. And that's the thing. So you've got to be careful. Not every curtain twitch is Jesus. You know, it's sometimes it's just a differential in temperature, or a door's left open, or whatever, you know. So you've got to be really careful. If you're going to do it, it has to be done correctly. And I appreciate you can't always repeat every part of the phenomena.
No.
But you should be able to kind of follow a scientific method to some degree. Otherwise, all you've got is someone's opinion, which, again, anecdotal, that's great because that's some evidence, but it's not enough evidence. You couldn't use that in a court of law convincingly every time, because then that just becomes here.
So would you agree then that we'd have to go to the same location each time?
Depends on what the test was. Like if you were doing like remote viewing, I would start with, you start in one place and put the object in one place, not tell the person who's remote viewing where that thing is, just give them the coordinates or whatever the procedure is. Set it up, cool. Now do the thing, whatever it is you do. I don't know, I'm not a remote viewer. I've tried and I can't do it. Do the thing. Did it work? Yes. No. Was it close? Like when you got, you know, Blackpool Tower and Deb got a tower.
Oh,
and you think, okay, that's the thing. I mean, how much data can you get from just one go? I don't know. But you both kind of arrived at more or less the same sort of answer. You see, okay, that's interesting. Let's repeat the test.
And that's the thing, we've not repeated it.
Right.
And I think that's something that we need to be doing.
But I mean, I want to do stuff
just to start off on, something to start a platform sort of thing.
It's like I want to do things like build a Kozyrev mirror, which is like, I think that's how you pronounce it. But like the Russians do all sorts of like brilliant experiments with pyramids and polished metal, and you know, it's like spiral of metal in like Fibonacci spirals sitting in there and trying to like tap in and tune into, you know, whatever it is, if it's psychic ability or, you know, the fabric of the universe. And they do some interesting work. But I also want to, like, you know, build an orgone accumulator. You know, like Wilhelm Reich, he's doing all sorts of stuff. And then all of a sudden you get, you know, CIA and medical professions shutting him down. And it's like, well, are they shutting him down because it's provably nonsense, or because he's making progress that they don't want to make? I don't know. Is orgone a real thing? I don't know. But like orgone and prana and chi and all of those ancient concepts are kind of the same thing. It's like Freud and Jung apparently did a load of tests, and they kind of kept coming into this force of some sort, but no one wants to hear about that in psychology. So write that out, delete all of that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have the paperwork, so I can't prove it, but test it then. See. Whatever it is that they did, repeat it. Because if it's true, it should always be true. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I throw a red pen at you, I'll hit you with a red pen every single time, unless you move. But you see what I mean? It's like, it's provable. You will get a known result of some sort. And that's what I want to do. I just getting the people, getting the processes down and testing it and playing around with the fabric of the universe. It's not easy, but that's what I would like to do. More than just make a found footage thing, which would be great fun. I would love to do that. Who wouldn't? It's just messing about on making films.
Yeah. Like he's put on, we need to build Cloudbusters. That's the next thing on my list that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
After I've done everything else. It will be getting done, but it's not going to be, it's going to be the other side of spring. So it's just having the time to do it. So that's one thing that's going to be done. So what I was going to say is, if there's anyone in the chat that wants to take part on this project that me and Stuart are going to try and kick off at some point, then just let us know. Like Stuart said, we're not 100% sure on what to do or where it's going to be. You did mention either Bempton or Canic Chase.
I just picked those at random.
Yeah, because high places, high strangeness, aren't they? So
exactly. Yep.
Anyway, like that, I think somewhere central would be better, because it'd be easy for everyone to get to. But we'll just keep having dig about and see what we can come up with, and once we all agree on something, then we can go from there. But if anyone's any ideas or they want to join in, give us a shout. All right, Joe, we can hear you, Canuck. So yeah. Oh, Nickname said pop it on my group and your UMBRA. Yeah, can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is us done, Mr. Hunter.
Hurrah.
And I
hope I
went on a bit longer than I thought it was going to go, but I'm not bothered.
It's because, again, I can't do short answers. People say keep it concise. No chance. It's a chance to ramble on for hours. Sorry.
Virtually impossible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've just got to pop a picture up for Lottie, because I got that Mothman statue.
Yep.
Have you seen it? Do you see it? The one out of Fallout 7?
It's impossible not to see it. The rate that you
get
your profile.
It's just, I paid £36 for it. They sell for 200. There was only me bidding on eBay Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That's why I got it so cheap.
I mean, well done.
So this is it, and this is where it is, right at the side of me. So next to all the others, with Danger Mouse protecting us.
Yeah.
So, and that's as big as the ET that I've got. So, yeah, I just absolutely love it. It sounds sad and pathetic, but as you know, it's my favourite cryptid, and it just looks amazing. So, like yourself,
it's the right choice.
Yes. So that's it. We are done. Massive thank you for coming on and revealing the real you.
Yeah, we didn't actually tell anyone why I didn't in the first place, did we? Just because it's like to do with, the jobs that I've had before in like high level care, and certain like clever pupils and students and all the rest of it, doing all sorts of things with staff, data and information. So I just created that so they would never find me, and they didn't. So that's all it is. Plus, I think as well, sometimes it's useful to not be always throwing everything out in the open and just sit back and kind of listen, take stuff in, and you know, sometimes people are a little bit more honest that way. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's been good. So yeah, thanks for coming on and explaining. It's been great. I knew we'd hit paranormal throughout, but
it's inevitable.
Yeah, it's always going to happen. I think it's just got to, what's the word? Accept it. Yeah. But I'm going to try and steer away from it. Right. So the next one I'm going to be doing is going to be a phone in only, I think. So here's the number if anyone wants to make a note of it. But you're only going to be able to do it via WhatsApp. Because I'm not giving you my real number because I'm not that daft.
You've got to write it on the gents' wall in every pub in Newcastle now.
My phone will never stop. So that's the one that I use for codes of the 12th dimension, but that is connected to my phone. But you can only, because the SIM card's not in it, but you can do it via WhatsApp, so it doesn't matter. So the next one, I'm not sure when it's going to be, but it's going to be a phone in. So people can phone in and ask questions and ask anything. Whether I have a guest on or not, I don't know. But then the one after that is going to be a panel show. And so far, touch wood, I have the people that I need for it. So the next 2 shows of this are planned. He says with bated breath because it's all just going to fall apart now. But yeah, if anyone wants to do the phone in, and it'll be live as well. So when you phone in, it'll be straight into the microphone. But you can do it if you don't want to be known who you are. You can just start. We don't know what half of you sound like.
You'll know if it's me.
Well, yeah, there is the accent might give it away. But yeah, so if anyone's up for that, just give me a shout. Doing the panel one, the one after. On the 12th dimension, all guests that were coming on in January and February are 100% confirmed. So we've got Dolly and Preston Dennett on Friday. The following Wednesday, we have Steve Mera and Barry Fitzgerald confirmed. We have Jessica Jones coming on. And there's a couple more, and I cannot think who they are, and I've not got my calendar, so I can't even have a look. So thank you again, Stuart UMBRA Hunter. Struggled saying that then.
Yeah, well,
it's been great. And it's nice to do something different. So
it's a good bit of fun.
Yes, it definitely is. Right, so if you stay here, don't go. I'm going to take us off. Oh, no, I don't need to take us off screen because I've got this one uploaded. I'm going to play the outro video and hopefully we'll see you guys on Friday. So have a wonderful day and a half and we'll see you then. I just need to find the outro. So take care and good night.